Hello, Class A students. We have seen that Portia disguised herself as a lawyer and took the name of Balthazar and went to the court where the case of Antonio was being heard. And there she took the letter from Bellario, which said that Bellario would have come himself to plead for Antonio, but he couldn't do so as he was sick, and he had sent Portia instead to plead for to plead instead for Antonio. And then when the case began, first of all, Portia tried to convince Shylock to have mercy on Antonio and to forgive him and to take whatever money he wants, which Bassanio was ready to give him. But Shylock was not at all willing. Not only willing, he was he had decided that he won't take anything other than a pound of flesh. When Portia read the bond, and she said that yes, the law says that once the bond is forfeited, he can cut off a pound of flesh from Antonio's body. Then Shylock thought that maybe Portia was pleading in favor of him and said that Daniel come to judgment. And when Portia saw that Shylock was very headstrong, very stubborn, and he won't deviate from his decision, then she asked Antonio to get ready for the knife. Antonio, with a calm resignation, replied that he had but little to say, for that he had prepared his mind for death. Then he said to Bassanio. So Antonio said he was prepared for death. Give me your hand, Bassanio, fare you well. Grieve not that I am fallen into this misfortune for you. Commend me to your honorable wife and tell her how I have loved you. So Antonio only asked for Bassanio's hand and said that do not ever feel sad that I'm dying today because of you. Please tell your wife that how much I loved you. Bassanio, in deepest affliction, said, affliction means very sad. Okay. Antonio, I am married to a wife who is as dear to me as life itself. But life itself, my wife, and all the world are not esteemed with me above your life. I would lose all. I would sacrifice all to this devil here to deliver you. So Bassanio said that yes, I have a wife whom I love very dearly, and I can give up my life for her. But nothing is more than your life. I can sacrifice even my wife to save you. Means if that is something can save you, I'm willing to do that. Portia, hearing this, thought the kind-hearted lady, though the kind-hearted lady was not at all offended with her husband for expressing the love he owed to so true a friend as Antonio in these strong terms, yet could not help answering. Your wife would give you little thanks if she were present to hear you make this offer. So when Bassanio said that nobody is above Antonio, and even I can sacrifice my wife to save you, then Portia was not at all offended, because she could understand that how much Bassanio loved Antonio. But she still said that if your wife was present here, then she wouldn't have been very happy to hear what you said. And then Graciano, who loved to copy what his lord did, thought he must make a speech like Bassanio's, and he said in Nerissa's hearing, who was writing in her clerk's dress by the side of Portia, I have a wife whom I protest I love. I wish she were in heaven, if she could but entreat some power there to change the cruel temper of this currish Jew. So, in a word, this Graciano copy means he, whatever Bassanio said, he would always, copy him, that is imitate him, not imitate exactly. He would always say the same thing to show his kind of loyalty and allegiance to Bassanio. And he also said the same thing, that even I am ready to sacrifice my wife if at all that would save the life of Antonio from this cruel Shylock. It is well you wish this behind her back, else you would have but an unquiet house. So Nerissa said that yes, if your wife heard this, then you will have an unquiet house. That means your wife would never like it, and this would be a cause of a quarrel between two of you. Shylock now cried out impatiently, "We trifle time, I pray. Pronounce the sentence." So now Shylock was very impatient and said that I don't want to waste time and all these things. Okay, now just pronounce the verdict that I can cut the pound of flesh. And now all was awful expectation in the court, and every heart was full of grief for Antonio. Yes, everybody was sad for Antonio. Portia asked if scales were ready to weigh the flesh, and she said to the Jew, "Shylock, you must have some surgeon by, lest he bleed to death." So Portia said that you must have the scales ready, because to weigh a pound of flesh, it should be just a pound of flesh. And you should also have a doctor. Surgeon means a doctor, lest Antonio will bleed to death. Shylock, whose whole intent was that Antonio should bleed to death, said, "It is not so named in the bond." Shylock said, "No, nothing is, the scales and doctor is not named in the bond." Portia replied, "It is not so named in the bond, but what of that? It were good you did so much for charity." Said that, okay, it's not there, but at least you can do it for charity. To this, all the answer Shylock would make was, "I cannot find it. It is not in the bond." So Shylock said, "It's not in the bond, so I cannot follow all these things." Then said Portia, "A pound of flesh of Antonio's flesh." Then said Portia, "A pound of Antonio's flesh is thine. The law allows it, and the court awards it. And you may cut this flesh from off his breast. The law allows it, and the court awards it." So Portia said, "Okay. So you can take a pound of flesh from Antonio's body, and the court allows it." Again Shylock exclaimed, "O wise and upright judge, a Daniel is come to judgment." And then he sharpened his long knife again, and looking eagerly on Antonio, he said, "Come, prepare." So then again, Shylock thought that this Portia was pleading in his favor, and said, "Oh, Daniel has come to judgment, upright judge," praised Portia. And he was sharpening the knife. "Tarry a little, Jew," said Portia. "There is something else. This bond here gives you no drop of blood. The words expressly are a pound of flesh. If in cutting off the pound of flesh you shed one drop of Christian blood, your lands and goods are by the law to be confiscated to the state of Venice." So now, Portia gives the final warning. She says that, tarry, wait a little, okay, Shylock. See, here it is given only a pound of flesh. It's not written that there can be a drop of blood can be shed. So, you can take a pound of flesh, but not a drop of Christian blood should be shed. If that is done, then all your property will be confiscated and it goes to the state of Venice. That is, confiscated means all will be taken away by the state of Venice for trying to murder an innocent person. We stop here today. We'll do the rest of it in the next class. Thank you.